As we move into the Thanksgiving and holiday season, we are again reminded of those who are having trouble feeding their families. It's a problem called food insecurity.
In fact, 16 to 22% of families here in the U.S. find themselves coming up short on funds for the family food budget. And some even resort to watering down infant formula to stretch the family food budget. This is a dangerous choice. It may sound like a good idea, but it's not. And we want to explore this topic further with our own medical expert, Dr. Dianne McCallister, who's the Chief Medical Officer of Centura's Porter Adventist Hospital. Thank you so much for joining us to discuss this very important issue of why adding extra water to formula is not a good idea.
It's definitely not a good idea for the baby. What we find is when parents water down the formula, it does two things. One is nutritionally, the child is not getting enough nutrition, and so their growth is slowed. The second and more acutely dangerous problem is that they can get what's called water intoxication. Their tiny little bodies can't handle the excess, what we call free water that doesn't have electrolytes in it, and it actually can be fatal or very damaging to them. So it is absolutely not a good idea.
So that's why they have certainly directions, instructions
Yes.
That come with the formula. That's more than the suggestion. In this case, it's very important to follow those, isn't it?
Absolutely. Formulas come in three different types. One is pre-mixed, ready to go. The two that we're talking about are, it comes in a can and you have to dilute the liquid, and then it also comes in a powdered variety, which is the least expensive. Again, you add water, and it's very, very important to do it exactly according to the directions.
So in storing these preparations, these formulas, whether dry or liquid, what is the best way to extend their life and make them last?
Well, one thing is to only mix up as much formula as your baby needs at that moment. And the second is obviously if in the canned varieties, once you open it, you need to refrigerate it so that bacteria don't grow in there.
And so we still may have the issue of people just not having enough to afford some of this. What would your suggestion be for those who are struggling with budgets?
You know, that's a big problem, and people donate formula.
Okay.
There's a program called Women, Infants, and Children's WIC where you can get help, and always do what's best for your infant. Go and get the help, ask for help. Ask your pediatrician. A lot of times they may get samples.
Okay.
And so there are a lot of different ways to get help and avoid, never over dilute the formula.
Okay.
And in this time of a lot of food drives for the holidays, maybe donating formula would be a good idea. How do you feel about that?
As long as it's unopened, I think donating formula is a wonderful thing. Infants are people too that need food. And you know, the other thing to remember is pediatricians tell us breast milk is the best thing for your children. Breast milk is free, and so breastfeeding is the best alternative for your infants.
Okay, good information. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Always wonderful to see you. And if you missed some of the discussion, you can find the doctor's weekly advice on thedenverchannel.com. Just scroll down until you see that red button.